Now, Charles Mbella Moki. I say Charles Mbella Moki and I say AKA Ngaringa. I think it's beginning to dawn on him that allow yourself to be cowed for a long time and not be able to say the truth is a problem. And it's beginning to come out of his shell. This is what he said.
Someone's knee is on the neck of Southwesterners. And this is the moment we should get out of what it is. We are being cowed to keep quiet and not to tell the truth. Take this.
Yes. So, Mbella Moki has been saying this over and over. Now I think that moment has really come, and that is why I could hear Mbella Moki at the Senate stages. I know you have watched it, but I'm bringing it on here because we have a lot to talk about it. Watch.
Thank you, Mr. President, for giving me this opportunity to take the rostrum once again. And in that way, permit me, Mr. President, offer a gracious salute to members of government who are present with us here tonight. My concern and focus is tied to a primary school story. For those of us English-speaking Cameroonians who are here, if you enter the class to make a story, you say, boys and girls, are you ready to hear my story? They will say, yes, what is your story about? My story is about...
Let me interrupt Mbella Moki Charles. Point of correction, Bangaringa. There is no such thing as Anglophone Cameroonians. We are not Cameroonians. We are not citizens of La République du Cameroon. If you want to use that Cameroon at all costs, say Southern Cameroonians. If you want to be specific, say Ambazonians. But I allow you to say Southern Cameroonians. Or you can even allow you to use one that at least has some historical backing, that West Cameroonian, like Honorable Weber had the habit of saying. Listen, my brother, we are not Anglophone Cameroonians. And so anyone who is making that kind of statement, first, you're on the wrong premise. That's to say by the least. But what I want you to do, mark the way he talks. Look at his body language. And then you mark his tone. You see that while he's even struggling to say what he's saying, Mbella Moki is carried away by fright. Follow.
Roads. And if the Southwesterner wants to talk in this country, the first outcry is roads. Mr. Minister of Public Works, I want you, with all due respect, to understand the cries that are coming from this house tonight. They're reflections, a perfect reflection of the cries of the average Cameroonian. The question most Cameroonians have for you is that,
now, if you paid attention, you would have seen why they beamed on those ministers there. You saw the other ministers as well, they were choking. They were dying of laughter. They were mocking. Because see, what is he talking about? What's he pouting about? We haven't even had the opportunity to develop our own land, our own country. And you expect us to bother about what is happening in a land where we are only supposed to exploit, to collect and collect. Who are you people? That's why they are laughing. That's why they are chuckling. That's why they are mocking. Oh, how are the mighty fallen? Mbella, continue.
Ministers who are charged with the duty of taking care of the road network in our country, do they circulate in this country by air or by road? How can it be that the economic capital is not properly connected to the national capital of our country? What image are we giving to the world? Mr. Minister, a few days ago you came around with some explanations after the Delegate General for National Security spoke out about the road network in the country. Yes, Mr. Minister, as I said, with all due respect, have you ever lost a relation because of bad roads, Mr. Minister? when the head of state visited Boya, and people put their complaints to him, he made a statement I will never forget. As a YCPD militant, the head of state.
Now, I'd like you to mark his diction. You see even the way he's talking. The beggarly approach. He will call Mr. Minister 20 times. He will want to say the head of state made this because he wants to hide behind that. It is not me talking. It is what the head of state said. Oh. I've cried a time in the southern Cameroons when men were men. When men were men. Not these things. Watch.
The crown cannot be happy when the cottage is not happy. Mr. Minister, everyday Cameroonians are dying because of bad. How? For how long are we going to cry as a people? For how long are Cameroonians going to shout out? We have elections next year. What do you want us? Look, we are leaving this place, for those of us who live in the communities, we are not safe because people will say we have gone and voted what? People will ask those questions.
Mbella Moki says we are not safe. And you see how Mr. Bidumpa Pompidou, Mr. Bidumpa alias Mini Pam Pam Shoga, Mini Pam Pam Shoga, his guy is laughing. Shoga said, what are you talking about? I said, people are dying, people are this. Doesn't really matter. Mbella Moki doesn't see people dying in the southern Cameroons, being killed by Mr. Paul Biya's thugs on a daily basis, being harassed, being looted, being tortured, women being raped, all kinds of things. He doesn't see that. He sees people dying on the roads. And even here, he starts by saying, saying there is no good road linking our economic capital to the national capital. Hey, my goodness. He can't even go straight to the pertinent issue he has to talk about. He has to try to embellish it around the board and all whatnot because of fear. And when we remind them that you don't belong, they get angry. They say, oh, we are talking. Mbella Moki Charles, I recall an evening when you and I were in Boya. And he said, I can really start a revolution. That was at an award ceremony organized by the Guardian Post. He said, look, John, this country is finished. I'm really embarrassed with what's going on. I can start a revolution. Then you ate your words. When a liberation movement started, I expected Mbella Moki to stand up and say, this is me, like a real man. Hell no. You turned your ire on other people who are suffering the same like you. I'm glad that finally Mbella Moki has identified whose knee is on the neck of his so-called Southwest. I'm glad he's identified finally. Because he had been cowed, not to say the truth, for a very long time. Or he allowed himself, like Ashu Nyenti, to always say that word, Ashu.
President Paul Biya is a blessing to this country. Cameroonians, we are lucky. We are made because we have Paul Biya, the helm of the state calf. This president is our greatest marksman. He is a...
Okay, leave it there, Ashu. You yourself, you're exaggerating it. Because you see, you are at CRTV. Hear what Mbella Moki will say about you soon. It's a shame. House slaves are the only ones doing this whole nonsense. I mean, house slaves. Let's go back to Mbella Moki.
We don't have answers, no matter what CRTV is trying to portray now. Areas. I come from the Southwest. We have 6 divisions.
Ashu, did you hear what he said? No matter what CRTV is trying to portray now, we've always said it. That CRTV is a propaganda machinery. It's a lying machine. The greatest lying machine of all times. And this is Mbella Moki, senator of the ruling CPDM, finally calling CRTV by its real name. Ashu Nyeti, did you hear that? Well, what will you say to that, Ashu, again?
principal goal scorer. He has always taken us out of very difficult situations. First, because of his immense wisdom. Second, because of his aura and international clout. Those who meet President Paul Biya for the first time are out and bow in reverence, in respect.
Exactly. That's what happens. Mbella Moki, you see him there? Even when he's claiming to cry, he's doing what? Bow in awe. Hey! Lordy. With all due respect, Mr. Minister. But the other way, saw Alizin come. Say, who is he even? Atanganjila. If I've given you the impression that I can be afraid of him, please forgive me. That gave you that impression. Oh. Why? This is painful to watch sometimes. Very painful to watch. And why Mbella Moki is here narrating say all this trash? You know what is going on? Paul Biya, Modiki, and others are cutting thousands of billions of CFA from Cape Limbo, churning much more from Sonara in Limbe, cutting again resources from CDC in Fako. Mbella Moki hadn't seen all of this. He will ask some pertinent questions to which I'd like us to volunteer answers. Let's go.
How many of those divisions are adequately linked to the regional headquarters? The regional headquarters itself is not linked to the economic capital, which is the way out. Now, we condemn English-speaking Cameroonians for being terrorists. Let me reveal this to all of you, the government bench. You are giving a lot of work to our gallant military boys. If you want to condemn the people of Lebialem and say they subscribe to Ambazonian tendencies, it is simple. The bottom line is underdevelopment. There are no...
Oh, chicken have come home to roost. So Mbella Moki now understands why we have to be in this liberation movement. Like Republic Cameroon doesn't care about us. Like Republic Cameroon sees us as subhumans. Like Republic Cameroon sees us as slaves. Like Republic Cameroon sees us as a conquered people. They are colonial masters in our land. That's why we want them out. Short and simple. Mbella Moki, you have understood it. I hope when you go back, you'll be asking for a camp to go there and how do we call those things, and get enlisted to stand up for what we all believe in. You see, the people want La République du Cameroon out of our land because, one, La République du Cameroon has no vision about development. Two, they can't even help themselves, so they can't help us. Three, our cultural beliefs and ideas about how a society should be run are completely different. There is no similarity between us. None. There is nothing that ties us together. That is why we want them out of our land. Mbella Moki, I like that you are learning your lesson. But you need to go further. Let's listen again.
Roads. The minister mentioned Ekondo Titi Kumba here when he last came here. There is no road to Ekondo Titi, sir. Even a motorbike cannot go to Ekondo Titi.
And that Ekondo Titi is the local government area from which Dr. Chief, the Honorable Prime Minister, Head of Government of La République du Cameroon, John Wute Joseph comes from. He is chief of a small village called Bogongo, 5 minutes away from Ekondo Titi. When is the last time John Wute that he went to Bogongo? Like as Mbella Moki is saying, and I've shown those images here. Even a bike doesn't easily make it to Ekondo Titi. But thousands of billions of CFA are extracted from Zian County, where Ekondo Titi is located, every year by Mr. Paul Biya and his gang. Oh yes. And you sit there. You say, the people of where? Those people that we hate. Like I said, I'm excited that over time I've told Mbella Moki throughout, I want you to identify on this platform. I've told him every day, I want you to identify whose knee is really on the neck of your so-called Southwest. I'm glad that the scales are already falling off your eyes. They haven't fallen completely, they are just falling. Go on.
Let us be frank. We cannot be pretending here. We should call a spade a spade. People have resorted to going by sea to Indian division. Mr. President, I understand you, but give me some time to cry to you. Translate the cry of Cameroonians to you.
Give you some time to cry. What? You can cry from the 1st to the 31st. The devil doesn't hear cries. The devil only understands hard language. The devil only understands hard language. Ambazonians have understood that. Some lost souls like you refuse to understand. And I hope that you are getting really out of slumber. Finish crying.
This is what I'm saying. It is appalling. It is bad. The situation is bad. Other speakers have mentioned areas I don't want to mention. But look at, you cannot travel from economic capital to the national capital. You cannot travel to Kribi, which is to sell Cameroon the future of our nation. Mr. Minister, we saw you signing a document saying that there will be a road from Bikoko to West Coast Idi now. The people of the Southwest are used to what you are trying to do. A contract was signed to plant a bitumen plant in Limbe. Till date, it is not there. A cement factory, it is not there. The Limbe seaport, Tico airport, is this, tell us, is this another deception?
Now look at this. While Mbella Moki was screaming sometimes, someone's knee is on the neck of the so-called Southwest. I came to this side and I said, Mbella Moki, how many times have you gone to pay a visit to Zacchaeus Fonjindam in the New Bell prison in Douala? Zacchaeus Fonjindam is not from your so-called Southwest. But Zacchaeus Fonjindam is paying the price for wanting to construct a shipyard project in Limbe. Are you aware of that? Are you aware? That's the price Zacchaeus Fonjindam is paying. You all celebrated when he was captured and dumped in jail because you felt you were getting at the same people suffering the same fate like you. Today you're asking about Limbe Deep Sea Port. Because La Republique saw that if Zacchaeus Fonjindam was allowed to complete that shipyard project he started in Limbe, if you have not done it, go to Fini Hotel or especially to Coastal Marina. Or you stand there, you see that project, you see parts of that project that were started. He had already created a platform where they had to be servicing ships because he indicated that the sea is naturally deep. You don't need a lot of dredging to get space to do these things. And like the people of Cameroon or the Bulu Ekambeti tribe were determined to rather see the Kribi Deep Sea Port constructed because of the plan they have to create a Beti state made up of the center, south, and east. You didn't see that politics. They felt that if Fonjina were allowed to complete that project, it will push them to finally have to construct that seaport in Limbe. And so to nip it in the bud, they had to set him up and throw him in jail. Zacchaeus Fonjindam was finally accused of embezzling about 200 and something million CFA. They started about 900. It never got to the billion. But he is serving a life jail term. People who clearly, citizens of La Republique, who clearly were said to have embezzled billions of CFA, tens of billions, Like if Michel Fotso are overflying the world, still living on the resources of the government of Cameroon. Zach is Fonjindam because he's of southern Cameroon's extraction. Because he committed the crime of commission, wanting to bring development into the southern Cameroons, the kind of project that will uplift the area. They had to teach him a lasting lesson. He was given 12 years. When he appealed, they transformed 12 years into life jail. Since then, they have allowed Atanganakuna to go out there, claiming that out of over 30 billion that they said he had embezzled, he had paid back about 2 or 3 billion. He's free. A good lot of them are free. Zacchaeus Fonjindam is forgotten. He's seen because he wanted to foster the construction of the Limbe deep sea port. Yet, the only reward he got from people like Mbella Moki was to see his knee was on the neck of the so-called Southwest. Like I said earlier, I'm glad Mbella Moki Charles is beginning to see whose knee really is on the neck of the Southwest. Because he's never worried that at Sonara, that's in Limbe, not a single individual of Southern Cameroon's extraction had ever been made Director General, let alone hold a key position in that structure. Let's go.
Mr. President, no, let us end this.
So you see, this is it. This is exactly what happens. This is the same Mbella Moki crying on the streets there. In other countries, a senator holds a minister to ransom right in session. But this is Mbella Moki crying.
Look at a new road that has just been constructed. Look at it. We are in trouble here along the Mokunda Limbe Road. Just runoffs are taking away the whole tar, creating craters on the road. It is dangerous. Accidents, cars tumble on it. This is terrible. It is an indication that the job was a poor job. Poorly.
So, my people, the freedom and development, economic development and prosperity of the Southern Cameroons will not be determined or achieved through rants and empty cries like the one we just saw Mbella Moki Charles display in the Parliament of La République du Cameroon, in the foreign parliament. It will be decided by the people of Ambazonia, who are fighting today by all means possible and available to kick La République du Cameroon out of our land. That is how we will do it. Thank you so much for sharing time with me on the set. I know we're already gone past midnight on Ground Zero. I want to thank each and every one of you for being part of this conversation. Share the link as much as you can, and don't forget to inform those who were not part of this broadcast that we will be returning here on Monday, December 16, with Professor Carlson Anyangwe to examine some of the issues that we did not finish talking about, like the pre-talks in Canada and the incarceration of Comrade Cho Ayaba, Dr. Cho Ayaba in Norway. And so I'd like to thank you for being part of this show. Until we meet back here, it's really do enjoy the rest of your evening. To God be the glory. Thank you.